Hey everyone, and welcome to Movies with Grey. Today I'm talking about the newest MCU film, The Eternals. Let's get started. So The Eternals is the MCU's 26th movie, which is absolutely insane. They are really getting to the territory now where I just know pretty much nothing going into these movies. Shang-Chi, never heard of that character before they announced the movie, same with The Eternals. So I went into this really fresh. I know, I'm not like the biggest, I don't have the biggest knowledge base on a Captain America or Iron Man, but I know, a decent bit amount going into these movies, whereas these characters are totally fresh. So went into Eternals only knowing what I've seen in the trailers really, and then maybe like a YouTube video here or there in the last few months. I was really happy and thrilled with this movie. I thought fantastic action sequences and a lot of it. Honestly, more action than I was expecting. The reason I say that is because I was getting the impression from trailers, from I guess what was comments coming out about the movie, and kind of what was being said from other people who've seen this already, like the premiere and stuff. I just had this in my mind that this was going to be maybe not as action heavy, a lot more, I don't know if philosophical is the right word, but definitely, a lot more talking, a lot more slower paced scenes between characters, especially, after Nomadland. That's what a lot of that movie was, and I thought, well, Chloe Zhao's going to, bring that kind of sensibility in here, and she did with certain scenes, and she did that really well. But this movie still was, like I said, much more action-packed, and I think much more, in a good way, but much more MCU formulaic than I expected it to be. I've heard a lot of people saying that this movie is like the most different MCU movie we've ever seen. It doesn't feel like an MCU movie. I very much disagree with that. To me, this was absolutely on point, and I say that in a good way. I'm not one of the people that goes, oh, MCU movies are all the same. I love it. Obviously, it's my favorite franchise. I love these movies. And I thought this definitely stuck with that. What I do feel like is the ideas and the concepts in this movie are definitely bigger and grander than anything we've ever seen before. I mean, when you're talking about the Celestials, again, people or characters I had no idea about going into this movie with. They're very, I mean, they're gods, essentially. And not like the Norse gods, we're talking like creators of the universe kind of thing. That idea is definitely much bigger than anything we've seen before. So I think on that level, yes, we're dealing with very different ideas and concepts than we have before. Stylistically, and the feel of this movie, though, to me was very much in line with the rest of the MCU. To me, something like The Winter Soldier, which is very much kind of a spy thriller movie, that is very vastly different to the MCU, much more than this movie is. Saying all that, that's good. I'm a bit surprised coming out of the movie going, I don't know what people are talking about, how it's that different. To me, there's some bigger concepts, but it's a very similar movie. It's very similar in tone and style to what we've already seen. So in terms of the characters themselves, they're great. And what I was amazed with, what I was really amazed with, I went into this going, well, we've got 10 main characters right off the bat. And we're not talking about any supporting characters, any villains. We're talking about just the Eternals themselves. There's 10. And I'm thinking, okay, so I guess we're going to have like one or two that really shine and the others are just going to kind of be in the background not doing anything. And there obviously there's main characters. I mean, Cersei and Icarus, I guess, are probably your main characters. They definitely have the most development and screen time, I would say, than the others. But every one of the Eternals, I believe, in this movie gets a chance to shine and really has a lot of character development and a lot of time to have things revealed about themselves, which I was really amazed. I didn't expect that. It was fantastic. I'm really happy that we managed to get that level of depth for 10 main characters. That was really incredible to me. The way that they explained who the Eternals are, what they were doing, what they've been doing on Earth all this time and everything. I thought that was really interesting. I thought they did that really well. There is a point in the middle of the film where there is a really big exposition dump where it's probably 5 to 10 minutes of just kind of one character really just kind of laying everything out to another character. And I get why they did it. It wasn't bad, but it definitely felt like, it almost feels like this could be broken up a bit. But I get why they had to do it, and honestly, it didn't take me out of the movie as much as I feel like it could have. I feel like if you're going to have this scene, it was handled very well. Maybe except for Cersei with her, I think they're called transmutation powers, where she can kind of change whatever. She can change, a piece of wood into a piece of glass, or what, like just basically changing one thing into another. Other than that, which I feel like we haven't seen a lot of, pretty much all of the other powers that the other Eternals have, that you see in the trailers, like one has super speed, one can control technology, one is like, one has, laser eyes and everything. They're not new things. They're all, and really, it's hard to come up with new powers at this point. But the way each of these Eternals use their abilities was very, I think, unique and worked really well in this movie. They all served the right purpose, and I was really impressed with that. A lot happened. Now, again, like I said, I went into this movie really knowing nothing about the Eternals themselves, but I was still very surprised. They did a lot of things in this movie that I just absolutely would not have expected, and I'm glad they did. It kept it fresh. It kept it very entertaining, because while I say it keeps in line with the, the Marvel style, whatever, it does probably break, I guess, a couple of conventions. There are definitely things I think you would come out of this movie going, would not have expected that at all. And that was great. The visual style of this, fantastic. There were scenes where I felt like I can see Chloe Zhao in there. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I followed her whole career. I've seen Nomadland, but seeing that, I can definitely see some of that carried over into some scenes in this movie. But even when you're not getting those kind of sensibilities here, when there is action or when there's this big epic kind of scale, fantastic. I still thought that was done really well. It looked absolutely beautiful. The CGI was pretty much fantastic. There's one, so like in the post-credit scene, there's a moment where I kind of go like, that CGI looks really bad. And I was surprised, because I thought, I feel like we're past this with Marvel in general, really, but with Marvel especially, and even the whole movie looked great. And then there was this one part that felt really rushed. It was strange. That's a minor nitpick. Except for a couple of name drops, like, again, you see in the trailers, they mentioned the name Thanos once or twice. A couple of things like that. I believe this has got to be one of the most standalone MCU films since, the beginning few years with their first Iron Man, Captain America and everything. As in, I honestly think, now, unless I'm just forgetting something major, I really think you could come into this movie probably having not seen any other Marvel movies, any other MCU films up to this point, and you'd get it. Except for a couple of name drops or references, again, like they said in the trailer, references to the snap or whatever. But it's not even something you need to understand. You don't need to know what that is to understand the movie. So, yeah, I think if you're not actually a Marvel fan, or if you're not, if you haven't been caught up, you haven't seen a lot of the other movies, you could absolutely see this and still get pretty much, everything out of it. Obviously, something as well that probably should be mentioned, because it was, a big part of the talk going into this movie and everything, is the diversity of this film. We know this was the first openly gay character in a Marvel movie, major character. Look, speaking as a straight person, I felt like it was handled very well. It wasn't, again, I'm not coming at this from someone in the community, so maybe not the best person to speak on it, but just from my point of view, it was handled in a really good way, where it was basically just, it was just part of this person's life. It wasn't made into this big deal. It was just there in the movie. It was normalized. Good. To me, that is how I would have thought it should be. But again, I'm definitely saying that as, take it with a grain of salt from me. But I thought personally it was handled very well. Same thing with, we know there's a deaf character in this movie. And again, same thing to me. It was, you're aware of it, but she is treated as equal. It's not as far as I remember, it's not really mentioned. Like, it's not brought up as we need to make a big deal of it. She's there, she's an equal, she's one of these Eternals, and great, that's just how it is. For me, I think that was really good storytelling. I think that's a great way to promote inclusivity and diversity. Again, taking it with a grain of salt from, straight white man, but anyway. Overall, great acting, great directing, great action, great visuals. I thought the villains actually were pretty decent in this movie. Not amazing, not like as deep as a Thanos character, but they served their purpose really well, I thought. So, talking about the deviants, of course. So, yeah, overall, really, really happy with this movie. If you're on the fence, I would definitely recommend go check it out. Again, as I said before, if you are either not, you haven't watched any Marvel movies, if you're behind, you haven't had a chance to see the last couple of definitely if you haven't seen like Black Widow or Shang-Chi, that definitely won't make any difference. And I really, to be honest, I don't think you have to have seen any of the other Marvel movies. I think this is very standalone. It keeps with the MCU, but does obviously deal with its own bigger ideas as well. So, yeah, overall, really solid, really impressed. That's my thoughts on Eternals. Please let me know what you thought about the movie in the comments below. Keep it spoiler free, as this is a non-spoiler review, but I would definitely love to hear what you thought. And please give this video, of course, a like, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for more content coming soon. Thanks very much. I'll catch you later.